We're going to be tying a little bucktail today, a little 1/2 ounce whitehead, and we're going to be tying a white and tan two-tone bucktail, something I use quite a lot here in the river at Gamtoos, chasing small garrick and obviously bartail flathead and the odd cob as well. The cotton I'm going to use is a clear cotton. It's actually a latex clear cotton, and I've got that onto a standard bobbin. We're just going to put a few turns onto the shoulder or the collar of the bucktail, just that what we're going to build everything up against on there. First thing we're going to do is add a little bit of flash to that, and we're going to be using this Myanmar flash. I'll show you what it looks like. It's a flat flashing material. I normally cut a single piece of the flash, and this stuff just in the water lights up your bucktail, and I fold it in half, making a double trailer piece that I like to come out in the back of the bucktail. I'm just going to put that on the top here, turn the vise and secure that down with a couple of whips of the latex cotton. Okay, there you go, that's on. Now, as I said, we're going to be using white, and a nice long white, just so that it has a bit of movement in the water. The lead head is obviously white, so we don't have to use that much white on the belly side, because the head will compensate for the color, and we'll put most of the two-tone, which is the tan, on the top, on the back of the bucktail. We all know when we look at a fish, you'll see a fish has got a white belly and a dark top, or a grey belly and a black top. That's to give them camouflage in the water when looked down upon or looked up from. Okay, so here comes the white. Just turn the vise a bit. We're going to pinch the white on there. Just a couple of loose turns at first, just until we get it all in the right place. I like to take it out of the vise here, and what I do is just using my thumb, make sure that I got all the strands as straight as I can. The straighter you get it now, the less tangling you'll get when you're actually using this bucktail. Okay, that's basically that. The next thing we're going to do now is add the two-tone part, which we're using a tan bucktail for. And I want to try and find similar types of hair. Don't use a bucktail on a two-tone where the hair is soft, and in the other portion of the two-tone the hair is brittle. Try and find ones that have got more or less the same kind of thickness and hardness to the hair. And we're just going to pinch it on the tail section and get rid of all the short pieces. And we go, and neaten it up a bit. We're now going to take that, pinch it onto the back of the collar above the white, and just secure it in there with a couple of turns. Okay, once it's nice and secure there, we're doing the same thing again. Just going to make sure that it's nice and straight and it lines up nicely on the lateral line against the white. And there's equal hair either side of the hook. So a bit of care taken now ensures that it puffs much better in the water, and also it tangles less when you're using it with a bit of speed. Okay, and there's it starting to take up shape there. Right, the next thing we're going to do is add a bit of flashing on the sides, which mimic the lateral line. And there we're going to be using some of this silver flash. Comes on these little handy zip tied bunches. We're going to take 2 strands of this of equal length, 2 strands of equal length, and then we're going to fold the 2 open sides together, making 4, and then the 2 closed sides back onto the open sides, making 8. And we're just going to cut those loops. So we've gone from 2 strands to an 8 strand, and on the tail end here they're all still double looped, which just makes it easier to tie them. Okay, so we're going to add that onto the actual lateral line. Just give it a couple of turns like that to secure it in place, and there you can see the effect of that. I'm going to do the other side exactly the same. We're going to take 2 strands of this flashing, 1 strand, then a second, and we're going to put these strands, as I said, side by side. Side by side. We're then going to fold them double. So we have 2 open sides, making 4. And then we're going to fold it back over, making 8, and there's 2 loops left in there. Just taking our scissors and cutting those. So now we have 8 loose strands and 4 double loops at the back, which we're going to use as the binding area. We're going to put that onto the lateral line as well, and then just bind it on. Okay, and there's our progress so far. You'll see we've got the bucktail pretty much tied. Our flashing is in the central Myanmar, the flat one. Then our 2-tone, white and tan, and basically on that 2-tone line we've got 8 strands of small flashing. We're going to just build this up a little bit on the shoulder with some latex cotton, and then I'm going to trim off the excess hair, and then we're almost ready to varnish it. Okay, so what we're going to do now is just take our craft knife, and what we're going to do is just trim off all the leftover hairs, basically neatening up the back end of the collar, and then we can bind it down to that and end off the bucktail quite nicely. So it's just trimming on the line where you started the backing and the binding of the bucktail. Almost done there. Then we're going to give it a couple more winds. You want to get as much protection basically from water as you can. And this is also your last chance to make sure everything aligns, which it does perfectly. Right, we're going to clamp in there, tighten it up, and put in a good couple of twists on here now. Okay, then to finish off the bucktail is we're taking a piece of cotton, just normal binding cotton, folding that double. Okay, so that we have a loop end at the bottom here. A little bit of spit helps glide it. We're putting that facing down towards the head of the bucktail, putting a couple of wraps over it. We can now trim that off. Bring the tail end back through that loop that's left. Put it through, grab your 2 pieces, pull it through, and it's as simple as that. The last thing we want to do now is just add, I like to use a clear nail varnish, to which I add a drop or 2 of normal glass fiber, the glass fiber catalyst too, so that it hardens quite nicely around the lure. And then once you've done that, your bucktail is pretty much coated and protected from the elements. Alright, there we go. I'll let this dry, then I'll put probably another layer or 2 down onto it. And there you go. One times olive and white, or at least tan and white bucktail with a bit of flash, ready to go and fish tomorrow. Tight lines, guys.